We are live. There we go. We are live. We are officially live on YouTube. Okay. Not only are we live on YouTube, but this just made me realize I should probably get on the call too. 1 second. Okay. Where are you from? Please. I forgot that I did it on the phone. Sorry. Forgive me, my love. All right. Cool. So, yeah, man. Let me just call here. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Cool. You know what? I'm probably going to skip out on the call. If I can't get it ready right away, I'm probably going to skip out on it. But again, for those who are joining me today, man, I'm just excited that you guys are here. Greatly appreciate it. Okay. Let me just call in because I want to make sure that I keep my word. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So give me 1 second here as I'm putting things together. So as you can see, I'm not the most technical person. There always seems to be something that could have gone better, and something kind of just unexpectedly happens. And this is what
this service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound sign.
And this is one of those moments, right? It's one of those moments where I'm like, oh man, I thought I had everything set, ready to go, and we're not set, ready to go just yet. But the cool thing about it is that, you know, we're about to get started pretty soon, and you guys are here, and I'm excited that you guys are here. Oh man! All right, here we go. Give me 1 second, okay? And
please enter your access code followed by the pound sign.
Oh man, where you at? Cool.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound sign. Please enter your access code.
All right, here we go. Give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, so let me know how your day was, you know. I'd love to know how your day was. I'd love to know, you know, if you guys want to put it in the comments, that'd be awesome. Free conference call.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound sign.
Registration. Right, so this is something I'm probably going to look back and say, dude, come on, man. Come on. All right, here we go. So I got this ready here. 920906.
You entered 920906.
Yep.
If this is correct, press 1. There is one other participant in this conference.
Hey,
announce yourself.
What's up? Sorry about that, guys. Whoever is on, I'm so sorry because I'm streaming from YouTube, from Meerkat, from all these other networks, and I forgot that that I was supposed to get on the phone. So I'm sorry for making you wait. I do appreciate you, though. Thank you for getting on here. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Your PIN followed by pound. Please wait. This conference is being recorded.
All right, here we go. You know, and those who stay on, those are the real committed people, you know. So this is a test to you guys. I'm just playing around. Give me 1 second.
Entry and exit chimes are off. Entry chimes are off. Exit chimes are off. Entry chimes are on. Exit chimes are on.
All right, here we go. So we're here. We're live, okay? Now we're ready to go, man, okay? Like, you know, I want to say appreciate everybody who's on here from Meerkat, from YouTube, and from the conference call here, okay? I want to apologize. We are running a little late. But, you know, I decided to do this call really quickly. I want to just share with you guys why I decided to do it. You know, for those who do kind of know me, I am in business, and I do a lot of different things, and you know, sometimes when I do these calls, I do them with a different purpose in mind. I do it more for a business purpose, right? But I decided to do this because I decided to do this as a way to give back, to give back to my following, and really because I was inspired. I was inspired by my wife a couple of days ago. And I really believe that God placed a message in my heart that I'd like to share with you. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in God or whether you came across here by accident, or maybe you know me or maybe you don't. But I really strongly believe that what I'm going to share with you, I really believe has the potential to really transform your life. Because, you know, one thing I can honestly testify is the power and how transformational God can be when you allow him to be. And the reason why I share this with you is because when I was 4 years old, I stopped believing in God. And it wasn't until I was 19 years old when I actually came across God again, and I came across him in a way where I saw him from a different angle. I saw him from a different perspective. And when I began to start welcoming him into my life started to change, to be truthfully honest with you. And I started to see firsthand exactly what that power, what that love, what everything around me began to start changing, to be truthfully honest with you. And I got to tell you something. It is more real than I could ever have imagined, right? So I really believe that today I have the opportunity, and I'm so blessed and I'm so honored to share something with you guys that I really believe has the potential, again, to really, really transform your life, right? So for those who are joining me here today on Meerkat YouTube and this conference call here, I want to let you guys know that, number one, just get ready to receive something that's really powerful, and give yourself permission to really, really, really take this in, right? Because I think so often, sometimes we come into something not knowing, and it's not like it's your fault, right? As a matter of fact, you should always have your guard up. Why shouldn't you? There's a lot of things that happen out in the world, but sometimes we don't understand. We don't have the discernment to really know when to put up our guard and when to put our guard down, and we kind of keep our guard up all the time. And when we keep our guard up all the time, the benefits to it is that we're never going to get hurt. Nothing's going to get through. But then some of the cons, some of the negatives to that is that when something transformational is right in front of you, it doesn't matter how powerful it is, because if you completely block it out and you completely never allow it to get in, you won't even get, not even an ounce, not even a drip of the ability of that power, right? Of the power to really transform your life. So I really hope that you guys open yourselves up to really receiving this message that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, which is called Severely Underestimated, right? And it was funny because when I was looking for a title, when I was looking for a picture, the first picture that came up was of this big fat sumo wrestler with this really young, small, scrawny little kid, right? And I thought it was perfect. And I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. But I actually remember. I remember when I was in high school, and when I was in high school, I grew up playing football, right? And I just love football, right? I mean, my favorite team is the Giants. I'm not sure if you guys like football, but football season's coming up. I'm excited. I'm ready to do this. And if you don't like football, it's totally cool. We're still friends. Don't worry about it. We're still buddies, man. I hope we are, okay? But I wanted to share something that was really powerful. So when I was in high school, I decided to start taking football, right? And I took Pop Warner, which is like my younger years, I did Pop Warner and things like that. But when I was in high school, I said, let me just sign up for football again, man. Let me give this a shot. Okay, really quickly, I want to give a shout out to Red Bull Hearts. Thank you for liking this and retweeting this. You are the man. Appreciate you. And for anybody who decides to share this call, I really do appreciate you. Thanks again. And anyways, I was in high school, and I decided to take football, right? And now I have to tell you something, right? For most of my life, I just completely was not good in football. I mean, I could not tackle. I never started. I mean, I was the kid that at the end of the game, his entire uniform was crystal clean. Like, I could literally just walk back into the house and I could just put my jersey back in my closet without being afraid that it was going to stink up the closet. I could put my pants back. Like, I didn't have to do laundry. I didn't have to clean my clothes because it was that clean, right? Because I never got the chance to play football, right? Because I just wasn't the most athletic kid. I wasn't the best kid. Now, fast forwarding to now when I'm in 9th grade in high school, what ends up happening is it's something really funny, right? I start actually doing good for myself, and I'll never forget this. But I don't know why. I remember when I was going against one of my friends. I was going against a couple of people. Like in football, I had to tackle people. So like there was these drills and exercises where they were called nutcrackers, and both of the kids would lay on the ground, and then as soon as the coach would blow the whistle, both of us would have to get up. And of course, the person who had the ball had to run right through the other person, and the person who didn't have the ball had to tackle that person down. Now, I told you, like in the very beginning, I completely suck at tackling, right? And what ended up happening is that for some reason, my friend was like, dude, just tackle their legs, okay? Just tackle their legs. That's what he said. And I kid you not, I probably have heard that phrase a zillion times from my parents, from my coaches, from everyone who saw, who knew, from everyone that I used to hear when I used to play football. But for some reason, at this exact moment, when my friend said that, it just clicked. I mean, it clicked and it finally made sense. I'm not sure if you've ever been in a position, or you've ever been in a position where all of a sudden somebody can tell you exactly what you need to do, but it doesn't make any sense to you, or at least you can't resonate with it. And then some other person will tell you the same exact thing, different way, and all of a sudden, bam, it makes sense to you, right? Well, that's exactly what happened. And anyways, I actually vividly remember it, okay? So I started getting good at playing football, right? And I actually had an opportunity to actually start for the very first time. And I remember, I'll never forget this, we were playing a scrimmage game against, just to see who's good and who's not. And I remember playing safety, which is just on the defense. I'm supposed to tackle the people. And it was just me and this kid named Scott. And this kid named Scott, man, he was fast, man. He was like really, really fast. He was short and he was strong. And it was me and him. And I had to quickly act and say to myself, oh my God, this guy Scott is gonna knock me on my butt if I don't do anything, right? Now, he was going straight at me because he knew that he could knock me on my butt. He knew that I was in the best of the best, right? Or at least that's what he thought. And all of a sudden, something just clicked in me and said, no, you're gonna push through. And all of a sudden, as he started running towards me, I ran faster. And I lowered my shoulder, and the moment we made contact, boom! It wasn't me on the floor, it was actually him, right? And that play got me noticed and finally recognized that I could qualify to play in a starting position. Now, the reason why I share that story with you is because sometimes in our life, sometimes we go through stuff and we may not be necessarily good. And we create this perception, not just with us, but the perception that other people kind of look at us and they say, he's really not that good, right? And people begin to start underestimating you, right? And up to this point, I share that quick story to let you know that that was just the beginning of people underestimating me. And I have several other stories that I want to share with you, but the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because I think this is a important thing to do, an important thing to understand, right? We obviously all have different gifts. We obviously have, we're all talented people, right? And we're all amazing and great. And the truth is that deep down inside, we have this natural tendency to want to be recognized and to want to be used and want our gifts to be used and we kind of want to give back to the world, right? But sometimes we can be in a part in our life where people don't really understand us. People don't really see our gifts. People don't see our worth, okay? And when I was growing up, that used to bother me a lot, you know? When I was 19 years old, things began to start changing for me, okay? And we're gonna get into this. And the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because I wanted to share with you a story, not another story of me, but a story in the Bible, right? And I know some of you guys who are on here watching this, some of you guys may or may not believe in God, but hey, if you're here, I want you to just to take a quick second and just, again, open your heart up, right? Just give yourself permission just to listen in. And the story that I want to share with you is a story in the book by this guy named Joseph, okay? And Joseph was a big dreamer, man. This guy, he dreamed and he had big, big dreams, right? The unfortunate part was that the people around him didn't think as big as he did. And you know what? Whenever you're around people, whenever you're in an environment of people that don't believe as big as you do, it kind of irks them. You kind of come out as being annoying. And the reason why is because every time you think big, okay, every time you think big, it reinforces in that person's minds that they're not where they want to be at. And because you remind them of where they're not where they want to be at, they need to put you down. They need to shut you up. And they'll try to poke at your baby, your dream, right? They'll try to poke at you. And in the story of Joseph, that's exactly what ends up happening, right? And it's funny because when you look at the story of Joseph, right? Joseph was actually, he was like the youngest out of the entire family. And he had a lot of brothers. So really quickly, what I want to do is I want to just read just a passage, a scripture in the Bible, and share with you a little bit of, just share with you exactly word for word what was happening. And I'm going to tie this all in, and I'm going to share with you probably something that you may need to hear, or something that you may be going through, because I got to share with you. I got to be completely honest with you, okay? I can relate to Joseph. And if you've ever been underestimated, or you are being underestimated right now as we speak, I want to share with you how truly powerful that is, right? How truly powerful that is. And that feeling that you have, that annoyance, that anger, that you being feeling upset, you feeling depressed, I want to let you know that you have the opportunity to step into, to step away from that and to step into something better, right? If you allow yourself to do so, okay? So let's go ahead and get started here, okay? So when I took a look at Joseph, right, there's a part in Genesis 39, verse 2 through 6, and I'm reading from the Message, right? I'm reading from the Message. And what ends up happening is the brothers, right, they like conspire to get rid of Joseph. And they're like, dude, we got to get rid of this kid, man. We got to get rid of this dreamer. He thinks he's better than us. He's favored by our father the most. He's just annoying, right? He's freaking annoying, right? Why? Because Joseph kept thinking bigger than they did, and it irked them, because it reinforced in their mind that they weren't where they wanted to be, right? So if we take a look at Genesis 39, verse 2 through 6 here, right? It says, and it says, as it turned out, God was with Joseph and things went very well, okay? Okay, so Genesis, boom, right? So what ends up happening is that they end up selling Joseph, okay? They end up selling Joseph here for, you won't believe this, okay? They sell Joseph for 20 pieces of silver. Okay, 20 pieces of silver is what they sell Joseph for. Okay, at first they wanted to kill this kid. Okay, they wanted to kill him. All right, but they end up selling Joseph for 20 pieces of silver. I'm not sure when the last time you looked at what the price of silver is, but I did this morning. Okay, and it's $15.32 an ounce. Okay, now I'm not sure. Okay, but I know damn well that anyone and everyone in this world is worth way more than $15.32, okay? We have all been predestined with something, a purpose, right? We all have gifts inside of us that can make the biggest difference, that can change the world. We are amazing. And I don't know about you, but I know damn well that everybody on this call, everybody on Meerkat, everybody on YouTube, everybody watching the replay, that you are worth more than $15.32. And sometimes people will try to put a label on your head. They'll try to put a certain worth on you, right? It's like the funniest thing, but you know, when it comes to like scientific stuff, right? Normally people give people 7 seconds before they completely judge them and realize if this is somebody they want to be friends with or somebody they want to run away from, which I think is good, and it's also bad. I mean, it's good because sometimes there's weirdos out there, right? But for the most part, we're some judgmental creatures, and I'll be completely honest with you, I'm in that mix, okay? And sometimes the truth is that people will try to put a price on your head for what you're really worth. And that's what they did. They sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver, which is equivalent to $15.32 an ounce in today's time, okay, which is practically nothing for another life. And they sold them into slavery. And what I want to read here with you is something interesting, because sometimes I want to read with you something here real quickly, okay? And it says here in verse 39, second through second, it says, as it turned out, God was with Joseph, and things went very well with him. He ended up living in a home of his Egyptian master, and his master recognized that God was with him. He saw that God was working for good in everything he did. He became very fond of his affairs, turning everything over to him. From that moment on, God blessed the home of the Egyptian, all because of Joseph. The blessing of God spread over everything he owned, and at home in the fields, and all of Potiphar's had to concern himself with what he was eating, and he was eating three meals a day. Okay, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting, right? Because he gets sold into slavery, and the first thing that comes to mind when you think of slavery is handcuffs, right? Being in a jail cell, completely losing all of the things that you love to do, right? Completely having to compromise who you are. You think that when you think of the word slavery, it's not something positive. I mean, when you think of it, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? It's not good. Yet it says that God was with him. God was with him. And for the very first time in this story, the word recognized is used. And it says his master recognized that God was with him. He recognized Joseph's value. He recognized Joseph's worth. He recognized that God was with him. You see, sometimes God needs to take us from an environment, from a group of people that don't see our worth, that don't see what we can do, that have no influence, have no way of seeing us more than a $15.32, like the brothers, right? You see, Joseph had big dreams. And some of you guys on this call, some of you guys watching this, some of you guys have big dreams too. How do I know that? Because you wouldn't be on this call. You know, most of the people who are underestimated end up doing some of the most phenomenal things, some of the most inspiring things, some of the most powerful things, right? But we can never get to that point if we are surrounded with people that put us down. If we are surrounded with people that do nothing but tell us how badly we suck at something. People that don't believe in what we believe. People that don't encourage us or motivate us. People that don't love us for what we do, right? And some people are unaware. I understand some people don't get it, right? But you understand that in that type of environment, you can never step into what God has called you to be. You can never step into what God has called you to be. You just can't, which is the reason why God had to remove them from that environment. And sometimes when God removes you from a certain environment, it doesn't mean he's just going to automatically place you in the promised land. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in most cases, right? When I was 19 years old, I came across God, right? God removed all of my friends because all of my friends were just helping me and encouraging me to do bad decisions, right? All my friends, instead of uplifting me, were putting me down, right? That's what they were doing. And guess what? I would have never been able to be where I am today and where I'm going had it not been for that. I had to get extracted from that environment. And whenever we get extracted from an environment that we're comfortable with, right, it's never fun because change is something that we resist. Even if it's positive, even if it's good, we resist it. And the moment that God took me from those people, he put me in an environment where I was going to be built up, where I was going to finally thrive, where I was going to become a leader, become a communicator, understand how people work, right? But guess what? It wasn't easy because the moment he took me from that place, he put me in a place where I had to start from scratch. The same way Joseph got taken from his comfort zone, living with his family, being your youngest son, being favored by the father, and then sold into slavery. But it says God was with him. Because God sometimes has to remove you from that environment and place you in an environment where people can actually recognize your worth, and those people can create connections for you so you can utilize your gifts and you can actually go somewhere and you can begin to start manifesting what you've always envisioned about yourself, right? And that's what it says. And I want to share this quick story real quick. It was a karate story, okay? For those who don't know me, right? Me and my wife, okay? Me and my wife actually, we used to run a martial arts school, okay? And when we used to run this martial arts school, what used to happen, right, is I wasn't good at this, right? He took me from the environment that I was in and he placed me in an environment where I was going to be built up. And when in the building stages, like when you're getting stretched, right, it's never easy. It hurts kind of a lot. But I'll never forget this because I'm always going to remember this. And I remember teaching a class. I was teaching a kickboxing class. And every time I share this story, I'm actually friends with the person who was in this story. And she hates when I tell this story because we weren't friends at the time. And she, anyway, so it was these two ladies and I was teaching a kickboxing class, right? We were doing some jumping jacks. I was teaching the class. I was being enthusiastic. I was motivating them. I was energetic, right? This is in the very beginning when I was trying to figure out, when I was still trying to understand how to teach, how to communicate, how to lead. It was difficult, man. I'll be truthful. I'll be honest with you, man. I used to hate it. Every time I used to have to teach class, my heart would drop, my hands would get sweaty, I would get nervous, I would want to run away, I wouldn't want to do it, right? And I was teaching this class, and all of a sudden, these two ladies start laughing under their breath. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I'm still teaching class, I'm still excited, right? This, and that. And then I'm like, okay. They start cracking up a little loud. The laughter starts becoming more noticeable. Now it's like, okay, are they laughing at me? Are they laughing? You start getting very your mind starts to play tricks on you. And I'm like, all right, okay. Okay, who are they laughing at? I'm not really joking around. I'm not, I looked at my face. I don't have lipstick on it. I don't have clown, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, there came a point where every second that went by, it felt like their laughter was getting louder and louder and louder and louder. And every minute that went by, I felt like I was losing control of the class. And it was only two people. And what ends up happening is that these ladies were making fun of me. They're making fun of how I talk. They're making fun of me. And that's never a good feeling. I'm not sure if you've ever felt when people are targeting you, when people are talking bad about you. It's never a good feeling. We want to be liked by everyone. Let's just keep it real, right? And it's never a good feeling. And I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to run away. I wanted to run away. And I'm being attacked. You know what I'm saying? I'm being attacked. And this is only making me, I just want to quit. I want to quit, man. I don't want to do this. This is so uncomfortable. God, why did you take me from my comfort zone? And why in the world am I now teaching classes? Like, I never saw myself teaching karate and teaching kickboxing. Why am I here? To get made fun of? And at the end of the class, it got so bad that my wife had to step in. And she had to step up for me because I didn't know what my worth was. I didn't know how worthy I was. I started to believe what these ladies were saying about me. And I'll never forget this. I remember going into the bathroom, getting on my knees, and I started to cry. And I said, God, why do people always underestimate me? Why do people always underestimate me? Why did you take me from where I was at? And why did you put me in an environment where people are making fun of me? How is this going to help me? How is this going to make me better? Why are you putting me in an environment where people don't believe in me? And I remember saying to myself, nah, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be at. And several months later, I still remember teaching a class that was jam-packed. And at the end of the class, people came up to me and said I had taught the best class. And they said, you're a natural. I was like, a natural? If you only knew what I had to go through. And we start to see in this journey, Joseph's journey, in the story of Joseph, you start to see a journey that Joseph goes on that puts him in a position where he has influence, where he has power, where the same people that made fun of him, the same people that talk bad about him, begin to start respecting him. The same people that underestimate him now respect him. And isn't it so funny how sometimes people don't know what they don't know? They don't know what we've been through, you know? They don't know. And sometimes people will say things like, you're such a natural. You're so gifted. You know, you're just, you know, this comes to you just naturally. And that's not the truth. The truth is that most of the things we want out of life and to finally go from being underestimated to finally just looked at as, wow, it doesn't happen overnight, right? And I want to share that with you, okay? Because I was angry, man. I'm like, why do I keep getting underestimated? You know, why do I keep getting underestimated? And Joseph got sold into slavery, right? The next thing that I wanted to share with you is what happens next, okay? You see, if we go further into the story, okay, Joseph, like, he was eating like a king. I mean, he was eating 3 meals a day, man. That's, I mean, like, come on, man. Like, is he really a slave or is he not a slave, you know? And he found favor, right? And that's the cool thing about when you're walking with God, you start to find favor, right? And God will do some amazing things, to be truthfully honest with you, okay? But here's what ends up happening next, okay? He gets accused for a crime he did not commit. Like, he did not commit, okay? And what ends up happening is that he was doing all of this stuff, man. He was doing great for himself. He was in a great position, man. He was eating 3 times a meat. He was eating 3 times a day. He had favor with the master. He had authority. He had a power, and he was a slave, okay? And his spouse, the master's spouse, when nobody's home and Joseph's, like, you know, cleaning around, he's doing his thing, right? His daily duty. He walks in and the spouse is just chilling there, like in a Victoria's Secret lingerie. Just fine. And like she was like in lingerie or something. And she's like, Joseph, what's up? You know, like, what up, sexy? You know? And Joseph's like, whoa, what are you doing? Hey, what do you? I don't know what you think. Well, I don't know if you've mistaken me by you thinking I'm the master. Okay, I know I'm handsome. I know I look good, but this is not right. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And the spouse is like, she's trying to seduce Joseph, but Joseph resists. And instead of giving into the temptation, he runs the opposite way. And as he's about to run out, the spouse grabs onto his coat and she rips it from him. And Joseph takes off. Now, the spouse is here, left, like, she's just chilling in her lingerie, and she's like, oh, damn. You know, this is not how I thought it was going to go down. And she's got Joseph's coat. So in her fear, she thought that Joseph was going to tell the master. She decides to come up with this big lie, this huge lie, that Joseph tried to rape her, that Joseph tried to sleep with her, that Joseph was the one trying to seduce her, and she had to take him off of him, and she ripped his coat, right? Because he was trying to get with her. What ends up happening? The master finds out about this because the spouse tells him. He grabs Joseph and he throws him into prison. Just when things were going good for Joseph. Just when he was getting some power and some influence. Just when someone finally recognized him. Somebody didn't underestimate him. his life takes a different turn. His life takes a different turn. And he's like, what in the world? I'm in jail for something I didn't do. He was accused for something he didn't do. It was unjust. And I remember back in 2014, okay, we have a business or whatever, okay, we're entrepreneurs or whatever. Me and my wife, we have an online business, right? But this is not what we're not doing this for anything. This is just a message. That's all it is. And back in like I think it was May, we suck, man. I mean, we are broke. We are broke and disgusted. We can't afford anything. Our business is barely getting paid. I mean, we're about we don't even know how we're going to pay for next month's, subscriptions or whatever, the things that we need to get paid for. And finally, we think that we have a breakthrough in our business. Finally, we can go back and tell our parents that we can succeed online, that we can make money online, that we can be successful, that everything we've been through was worth it. And we finally get a transaction, make a sale for $3,000, right? And to me, I've never made $3,000 in a single day, okay? Neither has my wife, okay? That used to take us a month to do. And it goes through. And we're like, oh my God, it goes through. It's amazing. We finally made $3,000. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I knew this was going to happen. Oh man, I knew it. I'm so happy. Yes. This works. And then all of a sudden, the $3,000 is gone. And we're like, what happened to the $3,000? What happened to the $3,000? This is a joke, right? Like, where is it? Like, where did it go? Because we need it. And all of a sudden, what ends up happening is that the person who bought something from us, she didn't write, she had to write an ACHE. It was like a form. And it was a form because it was such a big transaction. Like, she had to write it out. She had to sign it, and then she had to send it over to the merchant. Anyways, long story short, she forgot to sign it, and they end up changing the rules. And the rules now say that $3,000 is not ours. And I'm like, what the hell? What in the world? I was so angry. I was so angry, so furious. And I was looking at my wife and I was like, maybe this isn't for us. Maybe what people have said about us, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. maybe we just don't know how to work this thing. We were this close to finally making $3,000. And then it's gone just like that because of a stupid little mistake. And because they changed the rules. It was unjust. It was unjust. And I'm not sure if you've ever felt this way, where life hasn't been fair to you. And you thought something was going just the way you wanted to. You were enjoying it. Everything was great. And then all of a sudden, things turn around and things go the opposite way. That's where Joseph was at. Joseph was accused, even worse than losing $3,000. He was thrown into jail. That's crazy. He was thrown into jail. He was thrown into jail. Right? Now check this out, okay? Check this out, because this is important, okay? This is important for you to understand, okay? If we go to Genesis, when he's in jail, okay? He goes into jail, but what's interesting, when he goes into jail, okay, here's what ends up happening, okay? If we go here to Genesis 40, okay? So when we go into Genesis 39, 19 to 23, it says here, But there in jail, God was still with Joseph, okay? That's what it says. God was still with Joseph. And it says here, he reached out in kindness to him. He put on good terms with the head jailer. The head jailer put Joseph in charge of all of the prisoners. He ended up managing the whole operation. The head jailer gave Joseph free reign and never even checked on him because God was with him. Whatever he did, God made sure it worked out for the best. Right? So far, you see Joseph being taken away from his comfort zone, sold into slavery, not fair. Then finally, somebody recognizes for his worth, and then he gets accused unjustly, okay, for something he didn't do. He gets thrown into prison, but in the midst of this all, it says that God was with Joseph. I wonder how many of us have stepped into a situation or have been thrown in jail, kind of, right? Kind of like have been in a situation like Joseph where we've been thrown into these positions that were not fair, these challenges that came at our life. I wonder how many of us knew that God was with us. Because if we knew that God was with us, I wonder how differently we might have approached that situation. Because sometimes that situation you're in is meant for a reason. But sometimes we don't know God is with us. So instead of acting with that confidence, acting and knowing that God is with us, right? That our God is with us, we begin to start responding to it in a very negative way. And all of a sudden, the situation and the challenge that was meant there for a reason to take us to a new level in our life, instead of allowing us to step into that new level, we allow that situation to bring us down, and it never serves its true purpose. Here, Joseph is in jail, and he knows that God's with him. And because he knows that God's with him, instead of responding to the situation in a negative way, he begins to start utilizing his gifts and talents in a place as dark as a jail cell. And they put him in charge of the entire damn thing. Okay, not only that, but the head jail cell, what do you call him? I don't know, the guy who looks over the prisoners, puts him in charge of all the other prisoners, and he doesn't even bother to check in to see if Joseph is doing anything bad because he knew God was with him. Joseph had this way of stepping into any situation with this presence that he carried, this confidence that can only come from God. Okay, so it's a different kind of confidence than like what most people are used to. This is like Godfidence, okay? Like it's like God. I don't know how to explain it, right? But it's different. It smells different. It looks different, right? And it creates favor. Like God gives you favor with people, right? But check this out, okay? To make matters worse, okay? To make matters worse, in jail, okay? In jail. Let me read to you Genesis 40, verse 12 through 15. And here's what he says. And it says, Joseph said, so what ends up happening is that there's a baker, okay? There's a baker and a cupbearer, okay? Like a baker was thrown in jail, and the cupbearer is basically the guy who holds the cup every time the king would drink out of the wine. And the reason why they would have the cupbearer, this is what I believe I heard, which is not true, so don't quote me. But I remember hearing this from somebody, a pastor, I believe. And they said the reason why they had a cupbearer is because if the wine had poison in it, right, they made the cupbearer drink it first. And if he died, then the king be saved, right? So he always, it was like he was a filter that he had to go through before the king drank the actual wine, right? So anyways, he meets these two men in there. These two men is a baker and a cupbearer, and they both have a dream. They have a dream, right? And the dream that they have is like really weird. Like they can't understand it. It's like bears and witches and ears and cows, and like it's just weird. I'm not sure if you've ever had a dream that you just can't interpret. Like it's like I don't know what in the world happened. It was It was just tons of weird things that were happening in that dream. It was just unreal. So they have this dream, and these two people start asking, like, yo, like I had this dream, and word around the jail cell gets to Joseph, and someone's like, yo, Joseph, there's these two cats that had a dream, and like, you know, you're good at that. You're good at interpreting dreams. Like, that's your gift. That's what you're good at. And like the two cats go up to Joseph, and they're like, hey, Joseph, we know that you know how to interpret dreams. We know that you're gifted. We know that you have something special inside of you, and we would like for you to interpret our dreams. Like, can you do that for us, homie? And Joseph's like, yeah, sure, man. I'd love to do this, okay? Isn't it funny how when God gives you a gift, right, and he puts you in the right time, like there's a time and place when your gift will be utilized for its fullest potential, right? Your gift, okay, believe it or not, your gift at the right time will liberate you and throw you into greatness, okay? Your gift used at the right time will bring absolute freedom. And here's what ends up happening, right? So if we look at Genesis 41, okay, I'm sorry, Genesis 41:15. I'm sorry, 40. I'm like going everywhere. Okay. So it says 12 through 15. Okay. It says, Joseph said, here's the meaning. Okay. Because like they tell him the dream, and Joseph said, here's the meaning. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will get you out of here and put you back at your old work. You'll be giving Pharaoh this cup just as you used it to do when you were his cupbearer. Only remember me when things are going well with you again. Only remember me when things are going well for you again. Tell Pharaoh about me and get me out of this place. I was kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and since I've been here, I've done nothing to deserve being put in a hole, in this hole. Okay? And then like really quickly. All right, so he tells this guy, he interprets his dream. Like he uses his gift for what it's known to be, right? He uses the gift, and here's what ends up happening. Man, I need water, man. I need some water. Man, anyway, so here's what ends up happening, right? It's like, here's what happens. He basically tells the cupbearer, yo, dude, your dream basically means that in 3 days, you're about to be out of this place. Like, you're no longer going to be a prisoner. The king himself is going to get you out of here, and before you know it, you're going to go back to your job, 9 to 5. You're going to be straight. And he's like, now, before you do anything, before you forget me, please remember me. And remember me. Get me out of here, because I've done nothing to deserve this. Tell the king, tell Pharaoh that I've done nothing to deserve this. Please remember me. Please remember me. Thank you for retweeting this and liking this. Living Chick, sorry. Thank you, Lydia. We appreciate you. Lydia's on Meerkat. For those who are watching on YouTube, appreciate you. For those on the phone, really do appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you for bearing here with me. I'm about to tie this up in just a second. I promise you this will not go longer than 10 hours. Just fine. It's going to be super quick. I'm almost there, okay? So just hold tight. I promise you. It's really powerful, right? So he says, remember me. Now, let me share something with you that's important, okay? Let me share something that's important. I remember when I used to do martial arts, okay? When I was doing martial arts, I used to do karate. I did Shotokan. It's a Japanese art, okay? And here's what I was doing, right? I was at a tournament. It was a grappling tournament. Now I have to tell you something, okay? I'm not the biggest dude in the entire world, okay? I don't claim to be the biggest dude. I don't have these crazy big freaking rock solid muscles, okay? I'm not the biggest dude, okay? I'm like 140, okay? I'm not heavy set, okay? And I was grappling in this tournament, and everyone there was a lot bigger than me. Not just in weight, but in height. Okay, not just in like they were not just bigger, but they were also a lot more powerful than I was in strength. And when I'm doing my grappling, right? Like I'm on the floor. I'm not sure if you guys know what grappling is, but it's like when you're like trying to tap the other person out. You're not punching. You're just using your moves, trying to lock them up in a submission, trying to get them to tap out, arm bar, things like that. And and I'm like grappling this guy, man, and I'm going against this guy. He's like really big. He's got to be like, I would say maybe like a good 20 to 30 pounds heavier than me, okay? Or maybe a little bit more, okay? He's a little chunky, okay? And like the whole fight, he's just dominating, man. He's like on top of me. He's just like throwing me back and forth. Like everybody's cheering me on. Everybody, like all of a sudden it takes a turn where everyone was like cheering me on. And then it's like, okay, let's cheer for the other person, right? And like, again, I was getting underestimated. I'm like, this can't be happening. This not gonna happen. And this guy's like, he's like beating me up, right? Now, mind you, as all of this is happening, my father-in-law is like he's literally walking back and forth on his iPad and he's recording the entire fight. He's literally recording his son-in-law get his butt beat, okay? And I mean, like this guy's just throwing me back and forth, okay? And all of a sudden, he's recording me. And then there comes a point where somehow he gets this move on me where my arm is across my neck and he's got his other arm like this. So now my arm is like, in essence, kind of choking me. As he's choking me, he's like putting more pressure, and that arm in the middle of my neck, which happens to be my arm, is choking me. And there's like a minute left. And all of a sudden I say, oh, crap. I think I'm going to lose. I don't think I'm going to get out of this position. I don't think I can get out of this situation. I think I'm done. And then he begins to start squeezing. And like the veins on my head, they pop out. In the circulation, like he cuts the circulation off and my face begins to start turning red. But in that moment, I said to myself, no, I'm not going to give up. Because if I give up, I show everybody that what they believe is exactly what was going to happen. But if I push through, I can inspire these people and I can show them that even an underdog, even someone that's been severely underestimated can make this happen. And I said to myself, as I'm being choked to death, he's got a death choke on me, bro. I said to myself, he can't hold on to this choke for very long. There's going to be a point where he's going to reset and then he's going to go at it again. And in that point, I'm going to have a small gap to try to get my way out of this. I'm going to have a small, tiny gap. And all of a sudden, what ends up happening is that time took longer than I thought. And my father-in-law, who was recording the entire fight, he stops recording. He stops recording because he thought that I was done. The crowd, they stopped cheering because they thought I was done. Everyone there thought I was done. But in that moment, I believed that I could make it happen. And all of a sudden, I was right. With 20 seconds left, he goes to reset, and that was my way out. And I go underneath his neck. Somehow I break out of it. And he had exerted so much energy trying to put me in this death choke that he had no energy left. I climb on top of him, and I just choke him out. And the crowd goes crazy. But what hurt me the most was that my father-in-law had stopped recording. He had basically, indirectly, he thought I was going to lose. He had counted me out. And here's what I wanted to share with you. In Joseph, when the cupbearer steps out into freedom, and the same thing that he told them was going to happen in his dream, the same prophecy, right? He gets out and he's a free man, exactly how Joseph told him he was going to be. And if you remember, Joseph said to the cupbearer, please remember me when you're out there, because I've done nothing to deserve this. The cupbearer doesn't remember him. He forgets Joseph. And Joseph spends years in jail before another opportunity arises. But what I want to touch on really quickly is something very important. Sometimes we get angry when people don't recognize our gifts. Sometimes we get angry when people overlook our potential, when people underestimate us, when people don't know what's inside of us. And the Bible says when David is going to get anointed to be king by Samuel, right? Samuel picks somebody who externally looks like a king, has the qualities of a king, but God tells Samuel that's not the king. And Samuel says, what do you mean? These are all of the kids. These are all of the kids. And the son of Jesse, he's the father Jesse says, hey, are these all of your kids? And he's like, yeah, these are all my kids. Oh, wait, there's David. But he's not really worth it. I mean, he's like playing around with the sheep. He's like petting them. He's not your king material. Like, don't even, But isn't it so funny how us as humans can only physically judge someone? We can physically judge someone we only judge them by their external look, right? But God judges us by our heart, right? And sometimes we get angry and we get mad when people overlook us and when people don't remember us. Don't remember us. They don't remember us. They overlook us. They underestimate us, right? This is exactly what happened to Joseph. He thought that this was probably going to be his only way out of jail, and the guy forgets him. He just forgets him. But check this out, right? Check this out. Here's what ends up happening. The next thing that happens is Joseph gets the opportunity at the right time, at the right place, with the right person to use his gift. He was good, man. He was like seasoned. He was ready to go. But the problem was that he had not yet came across the right person that actually saw Joseph and saw him for his true worth, his true value. Here's what ends up happening, okay? In Genesis 41 to 38, what ends up happening here is he's 2 years past, okay? 2 years past, man. I mean, damn. The guy totally forgot 2 years later. The cupbearer is like, yo, the king has a dream, and the king can't interpret the dream. The king's like, I had this dream. There were 7 other crows, all skin and bones, came out of the river after them and stood by the bank of the Nile. The skinny crows ate the 7 healthy cows, and the Pharaoh woke up, and the Pharaoh's like, what the hell? This dream is confusing. And he has a second dream, and then he has a fifth dream, and he's like dreaming about this, and he doesn't understand it. He doesn't get it, right? And then the cupbearer is like, oh, I remember this guy that I was in jail with 2 years ago. Okay, 365 days times 2 ago. I remember him, and he's good at interpreting dreams. 2 years later. So the king's like, bring him here. Isn't it funny how you may be ready right this moment to step into your greatness, to step into your purpose. But it's not that you're not ready. It's sometimes that people are still not ripe. They're not ready for you. They're not ready for you. They're not ready for you. But this was finally happening. They get Joseph out of the jail, okay? And in Genesis 41 to 38, this is what it says. Then Pharaoh said to his officials, isn't this, I'm sorry. So before that, it's 41. Gosh, I need to get better at this. I'm not a professional, as you can see. Anyway, so it says here on verse 15, I dreamed a dream, Pharaoh told Joseph, that nobody can interpret it. But I've heard just by hearing a dream, you can interpret it. And Joseph answers, not I, but God. God will set Pharaoh's mind at ease. Isn't this so amazing? How Joseph, instead of taking credit for his gift, he understands the grace and the goodness of God. God has been with Joseph when his brothers sold him into slavery. God has been with Joseph when he was accused unjustly for sleeping with a woman that he did not sleep with, and then thrown into prison. And God was with him. And then when this man forgot about him 2 years later, God was with him. You see, Joseph never forgot that where he had gotten up to that point was not because of him, but because of God. Because of God. Because God was the one that gave Joseph the gift. He clearly understood that. He understood it so much that he had to correct Pharaoh. He had to correct a powerful person, that it was not him that was making this happen. It was God. Because the moment we think it's because of us, the moment we start to think that way, is the moment we block out God. Because we think that we're the ones doing it. We think that we're the good. We're so good. We're so good. That's not true. God is good. We're good because of God. And Joseph truly understands that. He understands that. He understands that he's gotten favor throughout this journey, not because of him, but because of God. Every single time that he got favor, every time he got favor in the Bible, it always said that he got favor. It didn't clearly say he got favor, but every time he got favor, the people that were giving him the things, the people that he was getting favor with, always said they knew God was with him. And when God is with you, you stand out of the crowd. And that's because when you claim your identity in Jesus Christ, when you claim your identity in God, you will stand out because God will give you your true identity and he'll separate you from the rest. He'll make you stand out for a moment as this, a moment as this, a moment as this. And here it is, Joseph's time, his gift has finally put him in a position where he can be liberated. He can be liberated in the jail cell that he's been spending years for something he didn't do. And here's what happens next. You still with me, right? Cool. Here's what happens next. It says here in Genesis 41 through the 43, Joseph interprets a dream, okay? Why did I mark that number down here? Okay, cool. And it says here, so he interprets a dream to Pharaoh, and I'm not going to go into it because it's really long, but he basically tells Pharaoh, look, listen, you're going to have like 7 years of prosperity. You're going to have so many amazing things. And then you're also going to have 7 years of famine. So you got to prepare the right way. You got to prepare. You got to make choices the right way. Okay. Like you're going to have 7 years of prosperity, but 7 years of drought and famine in the land. Nothing will be able to grow. Okay. And here's what Pharaoh says to him. Okay. He says in 38 verse 38 through 41, he says this. Then Pharaoh said to the officials, isn't this the man we need? Are we going to find anyone else whose God's spirit is in him like this? Again. People recognize Joseph. His true worth did not come from himself. It came because he had an identity in Christ. He had an identity in God. I wonder how many of us have claimed our identity in Jesus, have claimed our identity in God, because it's only when we get to God, it's only when we start understanding God, it's only when we decide to claim our identity, which we can freely do. It's not like it's impossible. It's not like you can't do it. It's not like you need special powers, right? Again, he got favor by the Pharaoh, not him, but because they knew that God was in him, that his spirit was in him. His identity came from Christ. His identity came from God. Your true identity is in God because God is your creator. He made you and he knows exactly how you operate. And check this out here for a second, right? So in Genesis 41, verse 41 to 43, it says this. It says, so Pharaoh said, Joseph, you are the man with the plan. You are what we've been looking for. God has given you the inside story. No one else is qualified. Isn't it funny how your gift is so special? The things that you have inside of you is so special that no one else can do what you can do. That God has given you a gift inside of you that only you can use. You're special. No one else possesses what you have. No one else. You're so special. It doesn't matter what anyone else told you. It doesn't matter what your friends told you back in the day. It doesn't matter your mistakes you're making. It doesn't matter what your parents told you growing up. It doesn't matter. None of that matters because you're so special. You're not like everyone else. God has made you so uniquely for a purpose bigger than yourself. Your gifts will be used at the right time when you're ripe and when people are ready to hear what you have to say. Jesus was underestimated. People thought he was going to come in a knight in shining armor, in a horse. He came in a donkey. He was severely underestimated. And you may be severely underestimated as we speak, but understand that God doesn't underestimate you. People will always underestimate you. People will always let you down. But God, he'll never let you down. He'll never underestimate you. He knows exactly what you possess because he made you in his image. He knows exactly how you can operate. He knows the exact gifts that you have inside of you. He knows how powerful you are. And it says here, you the man, Joseph. You the man. No one else qualifies. Understand that God has created a position for you. A position with your name just indented, imprinted on a throne of greatness that only you can sit on. No one else qualifies to sit on that throne because they're not you. And that's what the king is telling him. He's like, no one else qualifies. It's only you. It's only you, right? So check this out here. So it says, for now you are in charge of my affairs. All of my people will report to you. Only as king will I be over you. He goes from being a slave to then being thrown in prison, to then being forgotten in prison. From a prisoner, he gets raised up all the way to the top without having to climb little by little, because that's how our God works. He's supernatural. He gets taken all the way up, like that, which means that your situation can change in a moment. You may be struggling right now financially, but it can change in a moment. It can change in a moment like that. Joseph's situation changed. Right now, you may be feeling like you may be feeling a little insecure right now. You may be asking yourself, is this really my purpose, God? When am I going to step up? When am I going to be used by you? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm just going to throw in the towel. Maybe, just maybe, your time is coming. The same way Joseph's time came. And when your time comes, the people will no longer underestimate you. Because when God takes you to places, he does it in a supernatural fashion. We serve a God that's so supernatural that it would have been like logically, we can't make sense of this. How Joseph goes from a prisoner to being the highest of everything. And the only person higher than him is the king. How does that happen? God. Because at the right time, at the right place, your gift will liberate you. And whatever liberation means to you, whether it means activating your gifts, whether it means to financially prosper, whether it means to get out of the mess you're in, whether it means to be free of all of those beliefs and negativity and that little voice that tries to tell you otherwise, whatever that means to you, at the right place, at the right time, your gifts will liberate you, because your gifts will have you stand out from the entire crowd. No one else will be able to qualify, because it's only you. It's only you. It's only you that God wants to take to the next level because of your gifts, right? So check this out for here for a second. This is important, okay? Because he takes him to the next level. And he says, so Pharaoh commissioned Joseph. And he said, Pharaoh removed I'm putting you in charge of the entire country of Egypt. Then Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his finger, slipped it on Joseph's hand. He outfitted him with robes and the best linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He put the second in command chariot at his disposal. As he rode, people shouted, bravo. Joseph was in charge of the entire country. The entire country. The entire country. How does somebody who gets sold into slavery, then gets accused for sleeping with the master's wife, which he didn't do, and gets thrown into jail unjustly, to then becomes a prisoner? How does a man go through all of that and now in charge of a country? I wonder how many of us would have been given up when we got sold into slavery. I know I would. Okay? I wonder how many of us would have been given up when we got unjustly accused and got thrown in prison for the wrong thing. I know I would. Okay? How many of us would have lost faith and given up on the promise that God has over our life when we have been serving in jail for years and we think people have forgotten us? I know I would. But that's the thing. I can't trust myself. I'm the most skeptical person you've ever met in this entire world. The only thing that keeps me sane, the only thing that keeps me believing is God. And I tell you right now that if you plan on doing this on your own, good luck. Good luck. You're going to need lots of it. Okay? You're going to need lots of it. Because doing this by yourself, if Joseph did this by himself, he would have not gotten past the first stage. He would have given up. Joseph always held on to that promise. And just to show you exactly what I mean, okay? And then I'm going to share with you the action steps. There's 4 action steps that you need to take away today to implement into your life, okay? This went a little longer than what I expected, but I'm going to finish this off now, and then I'm going to give you your 4 action steps, okay? You see, the same people that threw Joseph into slavery, his brothers, when the famine hits, when stuff hits the fan, okay, they come to Joseph because there's a famine. There's no food left, okay? Just imagine like World War Z or Resident Evil happening, okay? Or like just things are going crazy. There's nothing left. There's no food, okay? His brothers come out to him, and his brothers don't know that this is Joseph, that this is the same Joseph they sold into slavery. It's been years, decades, and they come to him. And his brothers treat him with honor and respect. Isn't it funny that the same people that envied him, that hated him, are now bowing and they honor and respect him? I wonder why. I wonder why. Because they finally were ready for Joseph. They were finally ready for him. Nothing had changed except the fact that he now had a title and he had authority over the entire country. Maybe a little bit. But he was still the same guy. He still had the same heart. He was still the same person. What was different? People weren't ready for him. And sometimes we can get frustrated. We can say, how come I'm not there yet? How come what's happening? It's not like you're not ready. It's just the people aren't ready yet. They're not ripe. That's what my wife told me. I was like, holy cow, that's a crazy-ass revelation. Right? And here's what happens, right? In verse 42, Genesis 42, 6 through 7, here's what happens. Here's what he says. When Jacob learned that there was food, okay, I'm sorry, through 6, Joseph was running in the country. He was the one who gave out the rations to all the people. When Joseph's brothers arrived, they treated him with honor, bowing to him. Joseph recognized them immediately, but treated them as strangers and spoke roughly to them. Okay, and he said, "Where do you come from?" And the brothers responded, "We come to buy food." Joseph said who they are, but they didn't. He knew who they were, but they didn't know. They didn't know who he was. And Joseph, remembering his dream, he said, "You are spies, and you are looked for weak spots." Right, and like here's what ends up happening. Right, like Joseph. Okay, Joseph tries to, he takes this opportunity, and like I know if I was Joseph, I would have been like, dude, like just kill them all. Okay, just wipe them all out, But Joseph does something amazing. Joseph does something that was just amazing. It says here that Joseph, okay, and Joseph does something amazing. He says he then took them inside Joseph's house. This is what he does for the brothers, right? He stewarded them. He stewarded them. He put everything in order, right? And he says. And then he says something here that's really powerful. And he says, he took them inside and made them comfortable, gave them water to wash their feet, and saw to feeding of their donkeys. The brothers spread out their gifts as they waited for Joseph to show up at noon, right? Joseph welcomed them and said, and your father, and hold on one second here. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know where it went, man. I swear it's in here, okay? But here's what ends up happening. He hooks them up, man. He like stuffs their bags with food and money. Like he hooks them up. The people who sold them into slavery. We can learn a thing or two from Joseph. We can learn a thing or two, right? We can learn a thing or two, and here's what we can learn, okay? In 42, there we go, 42:25, okay? 42:25, verse 25. Here's what we can learn from Joseph, okay? What we can learn from Joseph is that Joseph ordered that their sacks be filled with grain, that their money be put back in each sack, and that they be giving ration for the road. That was all done for them, all of that. Like he hooked them up. He had compassion, right? But more than compassion, he had forgiveness in his heart, right? In Genesis 43, verse 30 to 31, okay, here's what ends up happening. Let me just share with you something here for a second. He was deeply moved on seeing his brother and about to burst into tears. Joseph hurried out into another room, and he had a good cry. He had a good cry. I wonder why Joseph was crying. Would you cry for somebody that would sell you into slavery? You wouldn't be crying. You'd probably be angry. He cried. He had forgiveness in his heart. He had forgiveness, okay? He had forgiveness, okay? And check this out here for a second, okay? Check this out here for a second. He could have done anything with them, but he had forgiveness. And here's what I want to share with you today, okay? I want to give you 4 action steps, and then we're just gonna wrap this up right now, okay? The first one is that Joseph had forgiveness and compassion. You have to have forgiveness and compassion for others. There are going to be many people on this journey that are going to underestimate you. There are going to be many people that are going to talk bad about you, envy you, put you down, and think that you're just worth $15.32 for the amount of money that their brother sold them, 20 pieces of silver, okay? There's going to be people like that in this journey, but you got to be able to forgive and have compassion. And here's the reason why. Because God will take you to the promised land if you trust in him, if you believe in him. But not only is he going to bless you, but it also says, the Bible says that when he blesses you, it's not just for you to be blessed, but it's for you to be a blessing to others. How can you be a blessing to others? Because sometimes as we get older, we forget where we came from. We forget where we came from. Kind of like when parents get older, right? They forget that they were kids, and they're like, they have no mercy, no grace over their kids, and they think that they were perfect. They forgot all of the bad stuff they did, right? I, as a parent, never want to forget that. I'm not a parent, but when I become a parent, I don't ever want to forget that. I want to have grace because I know I was a stupid kid. I know I made mistakes. I know I did stupid things. I mean, I hurt my family. But I never want to forget that because I want to have grace on my kids because no one had grace for me, right? So you have to have forgiveness and compassion for others who overlook you, for others who underestimate you. Because the truth is that when you are blessed, when you finally are esteemed, to the position that God has ordained for you, you have to also understand that there's somebody who's starting their journey the same way you did. And you got to have compassion over them. And you have to be able to forgive the people who hurt you. Because if you don't forgive them, you will inevitably turn like them. Truth. Okay, the second thing is people will always underestimate you, but God will never underestimate you. God, your creator, will never underestimate you. So we need to take this focus off of people underestimating you, because that can turn your heart into bitter. You can get angry from that. You can get pissed off. But why give your emotion to other people? People will always let you down, but God is always consistent. God knows your true worth. Don't listen to what people tell you you're worth. Don't listen to the negativity, because it doesn't mean anything. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that should matter to you is God's opinion. God loves you. That's the second thing. The third thing is God can only bless your authentic self. No filters. You can have no filters. And let me tell you the reason why. Because in Genesis 40, verse 18 to 19, Joseph had to tell the baker that he was going to die. That's not good news. Like telling someone that you're going to get killed is not something we want to do. It's kind of like being the person that fires the employee, okay? That's not the position we want to be. It's not an easy one. But guess what? Your gifts are going to demand for you to be direct with people. Your gifts are going to require for you to be your authentic self. Because if you're not your authentic self, your gifts will do you no good, because you cannot. It's only when you are operating in 100% complete authenticity that your gifts can be activated. Okay? So there can be no filter. You can have no filter, or you won't be blessed. Okay, you got to forget about what people think about you. You got to get rid of those thoughts, and you just got to step up. You got to operate for what God has called you to be in the moment. You got to step up at the right time, at the right place. Don't worry about that. God's got that covered. Your job is just to show up and do. Okay. The fourth thing is anything lower. Okay, this is important. Okay. Anything lower than worldwide would be underestimating yourself. Forget about people underestimating you. Sometimes the biggest person, the biggest skeptic, the person who underestimates the most happens to be the person when we wake up and we go to the bathroom, the person that we see in the mirror, which happens to be us, we sometimes happen to be the person who underestimated us the most. We, not your mother, not your father, not your friends, not that annoying kid, not that annoying girl. We happen to be the person who underestimates the most. And the reason why I say this, anything lower than worldwide would be underestimating yourself. Your thinking should be worldwide. And let me share with you why. And then we're going to wrap this up. I promise you, we're not going to be here for another 2 hours. I really apologize. But hopefully you got some value from this, okay? So here it is, Genesis 41, verse 56 through 57. Okay, here's what it says. As the famine got worse all over the country, Joseph opened the storehouse and sold emergency supplies to the Egyptians. The famine was very bad. Soon, the whole world was coming to buy supplies from Joseph. The famine was bad all over. Joseph, the whole world came to Joseph. Joseph became a worldwide figure. A worldwide figure. Why can't you? Why can't you impact this world and be known for that? Right? Why can't we? Here's the problem. Sometimes we don't think big enough. That's an issue because God is thinking worldwide. God is thinking about how can I impact this world? We need to raise our thinking to that level. And when we do, God can work in us. We need to stop underestimating ourselves. That's it. That's all I got for you today. And I'll end off with saying this to you guys. For those who are still watching, for those who are listening on Meerkat YouTube, I want to let you know that God believes in you. And right now, if you've listened to this and you felt this and you said to yourself, man, I've been underestimating myself. I've been allowing those thoughts to wander in my mind for too long. I've been letting that voice tell me that I'm not worthy. If you're fed up with that and you're ready to change your life and you're ready to step into your greatness, here's what I want to do right now at this moment. I want to let you know, I want to invite you into making probably one of the best decisions that you can ever make in your life. One of the decisions that have changed my life from the inside out. I went from living a life of destruction, addicted to making bad decisions, addicted to drugs, right? Hurting my family, not believing in God. My whole life changed and transformed when I decided to make this decision. God rescued me and he delivered me from what was going to happen, what was my inevitable outcome if I continued doing that thing. He changed everything around me, and I am forever grateful. And I want to let you know, I want to invite you today to making that same decision to change your life. Because let me tell you something. It's real. And God loves you so much. He loves you with all of his heart. And last Sunday, I got the opportunity to walk in when people were getting their lives saved. And there was this kid that for some reason, I thought he was sleeping because his eyes were closed. And I looked at him long enough to see if he was sleeping. And then I saw a smirk on his face. That smile represented hope. Hope was instilled in that kid's heart. He believed again. And as they were inviting him to make the decision, the same decision that I'm asking you today, he smiled. He raised his hand in the air, and he gave his life to Jesus. I promise you that this decision that you're going to make is not going to be an easy one as you look at Joseph's life, but it's going to be a rewarding one. And I promise you, if you just focus on the outcome and you focus on the rewards that God has for you, and you focus on the end in mind, that it is far greater and it will exceed the pain and the change that you'll have to go through. Because it's not going to be easy. I'd be lying to you if I tell you it was an easy journey. But it is going to be one that's going to be very rewarding. At the end of the day, it's either you face and you come to reality with what's happening in your life right now, or you do it later. But understand, when you do it later, you'll have less time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You'll have less time to live your authentic self. Because when you make the decision today and you step into your greatness and you invite Jesus into your heart today and you give your life to God, I can tell you one thing for sure, that you are going to step into a journey, a fulfilling journey of understanding who you truly, truly were meant to be. You'll come and you'll encounter true love that's transformational. And you will meet your creator. You will meet yourself. You'll meet your true self. And I want to let you guys know that God loves you. And if you can say a quick prayer with me right now as we do this. And honestly, this is going to be a prayer that it's not fancy, right? I mean, I don't consider myself fancy. Like 2 minutes before the show, I put my hair in a bun. It was terrible, okay? I was walking around like a caveman. But today I just got on here. I'm not a fancy person. I'm not a special person. I'm just an ordinary person that decided to give my life to Christ. And God emphasizes himself through me, which may be the reason why you think that I'm special, you think I'm extraordinary. But the truth is that I'm not. It's God that's doing all the work. He is emphasizing himself through me. Because honestly, if God was removed from this picture, you'd see how broken I am. You see how broken I am. God loves you. So repeat this prayer after me if you've decided to change your life today. And say it with me, guys. I don't even know what the prayer is. I'm just going to make one up now. I've decided to make a decision today. A decision that I will stand on for the rest of my life. A decision that has the power to change my life. A decision to invite Jesus into my life. This day will be the day I will remember. This day will be the day where I accept Jesus into my heart. Amen. I don't even know if that's right, but again, I'm not perfect, as you can see. I want to say, guys, I love you. This has been a great, great time spending time with you guys. And I want to let you guys know that God loves you. He appreciates you, okay? My name is Paul CQ. Pow! Hello. You already know, baby. Let's go. God loves you. Congratulations for making a decision. I am excited for you. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I can't wait to see what God will reveal to you. I can't wait to see who you will become in the process of understanding who God is in your life and seeing the goodness and his love in you. Love you, appreciate you, and God loves you even more. Peace. Love, chicken grits to the Middle East. Like my wife says, love you. Okay? Peace.